Hello and welcome to the Peter Principles. I'm Peter, your host, and thanks for joining us for another episode of 10 Questions with the Musical Mind. This series explores the creative process of different musicians to gain insight on how they do what they do. Today we are joined by singer-songwriter Erin McAndrew, and she shares with us how she writes songs, what inspires her, and what she's been up to. So, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So, you're out in California.
Yes, I am.
Is it sunny there? Because it's pouring rain here.
Yeah, no, it's gorgeous. It's funny, though, because so I was on the East Coast for a few weddings, and I just got back last week. And before I left, almost the entire month of May was like, literally, it was like May gray. It was gray almost every single day.
Right.
It's so strange because, but I guess that's a thing here. Like, they say May and June are like the cloudiest months, but when I got back ever since, it's been really nice. So.
Yeah, it just depends. I mean, we last year we were talking about how nice a summer we had out here because it really almost never got to be 90, and then this summer we've already had like 6 or 7 days that are like 95 degrees. So it'll probably be a hotter summer. But
and humidity, right?
What's that?
And humidity, right?
Yeah, the humidity. And we talked before. I told you that I thought, you know it from Pennsylvania, but I thought that I'd be used to humidity when I came back from Colorado because I'd grown up in it. It's like, I grew up in the South. I'm used to humidity, but I'd been out there for 5 years. The first day I got back, down Southeast, I was just like, geez, Christ, it's just awful. Yeah. It's like walking through a wet shower curtain.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, one of the things I like to focus on is just basically the creative process that artists like yourself go through. And it's different for everybody, different questions I ask and that kind of thing. So let's just go through the list and see what you come up with. First question, do you generally compose your original material? Are you basically just doing it with your voice and guitar, or are you humming in your head, or are you sitting down with the guitar and trying to, now I'm going to write something?
Usually where the writing process starts is by just writing the lyrics. Mm-hmm. So there will be songs where I'll write the lyrics and I may put them away for months and then come back to them. It kind of is different every time. When I'm in songwriting mode, when I know I'm going to be recording, it's a little bit different. I'll be okay, writing a song, and then I basically sit with it for a day and then see if anything comes to mind, and then just kind of start playing around on guitar with it.
Right.
So that's my process sometimes, and then other times, for instance, my newest release just came out February of this year. So before that, I wasn't really writing all that often, before when I was recording. So it kind of depends. I also have had a major life shift in the past year, just with moving out here, and I actually just officially went full-time music a week, which is amazing.
Congratulations.
So I have a lot more time now to devote to writing more songs and getting that stuff together. So yeah, I think it really depends, but it's always the lyrics that come first before I actually put them to music.
Does it ever influence you, when you're messing around guitar? Do you ever think in the back of your mind, I've had this set of lyrics in my little notebook for 3 months and maybe I should write something this way? Does it influence you subconsciously sometimes, maybe, that I need to make a longer passage here because maybe that'll fit this, or? Yeah,
sometimes. And I'm busy gigging all the time, but it's mostly cover stuff. So my head is more creatively in that direction a lot of the time because I'm playing mostly covers. Mm-hmm. But when I am in that creative mode where I'm creating my own music, it's a little bit different. But yeah, I know in the next I'd say few weeks I'm going to start writing a lot more again. So I know I'm probably going to have that feeling where it's like, okay, I know I have these songs. Like, what can I do with them?
Sure. Yeah. Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So when you start recording the new music, like in your past work, once you're getting the recording process, is that the first time that you're adding other instrumentation to it? Like up to that point, have you only heard it with yourself and your guitar, or have you been playing with other people, like a bass player and a drummer? Or...
Yeah. So before I even go into the studio, it's just me and my guitar for a lot of my stuff. So my friend Dan, that I've been working with for a long time, he has helped. He helped me a lot with my last release. He co-wrote some of the stuff with me. So he adds a lot of the instrumentation because he just like knows how to play so many different instruments. So he's like a very like essential person to have around. Although now he's on the East Coast, so it's a little more difficult. But yeah, so that's the first time we actually add more instrumentation to it is when I've been in the studio with him.
Okay.
So
that's probably pretty exciting
it's really
too,
really cool to see it all come together, and like that's really kind of when a lot of the creative juices start flowing, because like I can obviously hear different things with guitar, but I also hear drums and I hear like guitar, like bass here, or I hear piano here, it's
right?
Like, so I feel like, like when I'm first writing a song, it's like the mind, like it just like expands more and more as I go into the studio, it's really kind of cool, like to go through the process. And
yeah,
when you're in there, like when we would record, we'd be in the recording studio probably for like 5 or 6 hours working on maybe just one song. So it's like, so we'd really be like in it, and that's when like all the creativeness just comes out.
Right. So I can see that, and it seems like it would be really interesting to just one man project or one woman project, and just it's all you, and that's appealing on some level. But at the same time, once you start hearing other people putting their hat in the ring and their ideas, you get that, oh, that's cool, I wouldn't have thought of that,
Yeah.
So that's definitely.
And also I've been working with him for so many years that he knows my sound, and he knows like what I like and what I don't like, and like what will help grow me as an artist.
Right. So he's not going, this would be really good as a death metal piece.
Yeah. Right. Actually, it's funny because in his professional music career, he sings metal, so that's kind of funny that you said that.
That is funny.
Metal.
Right. So I think we've covered this a little bit already. My third question was, do you have like cycles of productivity? Like, do you tend to get in a mode like you say you've got coming up where you write 3 or 4 songs in a short amount of time, and then maybe you don't do anything for a few months? Sorry, my
Can you repeat that again? Sorry.
Yeah, you see, I just lost power in my lights. Do you have periods where you're like really productive and you get a lot of stuff written, and then you may go 6 months where you haven't written anything? Does it tend to come and go in waves, or?
Yeah, I find like, I don't know, it's like almost like a certain muscle that turns on in my brain, I feel like. And that was kind of what it was like with my last release. Like I would write a song and then I'd be like, oh, that's a good idea for another song. And that's a good idea for another song. But like, yeah, it definitely is one of those things where it comes in waves.
Sure.
Because I'm also like, I completely manage myself and do all my own booking and everything. So I have like a lot of that creative side, but I also have a lot of that business side too. So I'm like a lot more heavy on the business than I am on the creative sometimes. Really? So I have to kind of like be in the zone when I want to be creating. So I'd say for sure it's definitely one of those things that comes in waves, but I'm trying to get myself into the habit of just writing a lot more frequently, even if it's not always like a full song and it's just like a verse or just a chorus, and then I can like work on the other parts at some point or another. So,
right. Well, since you got such a good business sense, I need you to email me once a month, remind me to pay my utility bills and stuff. No, I'm just kidding. It's just apparently it's just a light bulb in this room.
One of those timers.
Yeah. So the fourth question was something we've already covered. I was going to ask you if you tend to quote lyrics first, but obviously you do. So
yeah,
that's the 10. So um, I find it interesting because I dabble in guitar and I don't play much recently, but the I was never a singer and I never even attempted to write lyrics, so that was never part of my forefront. It was always just coming up with instrumental passages. So I'm curious how that works with people, but that's kind of interesting because I know if you're writing an instrumental piece on guitar and you never intend to have vocals, you can write whatever you want, and then once you're done, you can judge the tone of the piece and just say, okay, this is called whatever, and you can make it fit that. But it's more of a challenge. You have to make lyrics and the music fit together for a concept, So as far as your guitars, I thought I'd seen a Taylor, but I know I've seen you with a Martin too. Don't you have a Martin guitar?
I have a little Martin that I am actually looking to get off my hands at some point because it's literally just sitting in my closet, not even getting any love whatsoever. Because it was one of my first guitars, and it's not electric or acoustic. It has a really nice sound, but for like the purposes of like what I like, my Taylor is just like, I like to be like, I don't know, I just like playing that one the most because I think it has the best sound.
And it's entirely personal, yeah.
Yeah, so I have that one. I also have I have two Ibanez's. I have an electric Ibanez and then an acoustic electric Ibanez. It's the blue one that you've probably seen in some of my pictures also.
Yeah.
So those are my other guitars, but I definitely like play the Taylor more than any of the other ones.
It really just depends on what's comfortable for you, and because if you ask anybody, I mean, the Martin would be the most prestigious brand of those, although they're all good makes. But yeah, if you don't like it, I mean, years ago I had a Gibson Les Paul, which is an expensive guitar, and I liked it fine. But at some point I bought an Ibanez electric out of a pawn shop, and this has been 15 years ago at least, and I don't think I hardly ever touched the Les Paul again. This $250 used Ibanez just felt better. It played better. I enjoyed the sound better, and it just depends on what fits you, As far as I was watching some of your YouTube channel. You got that Rockin' Through the Grapevines. So that's pretty cool. Do you view that as an entirely separate creative outlet? I mean, did you hear me that last part?
Oh, sorry. Can you ask that one more time?
You're fine.
I broke up again. Yeah.
You're Rocking Through the Grapevines. Do you view that as a completely separate outlet, or do you like to? Is that feel tied into your music to you internally, or?
Yeah. So it's kind of my original thought was a few years ago. I just kind of had this idea, or it was kind of like more like my husband's idea, to be honest. We were sitting because he like is very supportive of my career and like, always has ideas on like different things that I can do, different things to like help elevate what I'm doing. So, a few years ago, I was like, I kind of want to like do something in addition. So like, my supporters and fans and people that are starting to get interested in me, or even like places that I want to play, kind of get a sense of like my personality. So he's like, well, you play a lot of like wineries. Why don't you create a wine show and you can play your music in the background? And I was like, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
So it basically started out with that. Like, it was a lot of the wineries that I played at. I would, get a bottle of wine afterwards and then talk about the wine, talk about the winery. And then, it's free promotion for the winery, so it makes sense. So, then it expanded from there, and, I focused on specific types of wine or like specific areas. I mean, because I was on the East Coast for so long, a lot of my wines that I focused on were East Coast wines. Now that I'm out here, it's mostly West Coast wines. So it's kind of cool to like now have that like two different things. But one thing that I will say is that I always play my music in the background, and I always like, plug it at the end. But I have like a few other ideas of how I can like keep them connected in the future. So they're just things I'm brainstorming about, but like nothing set in stone yet. So.
Right. Let's see. Did you already have a lot of wine knowledge? I mean,
no, not really. I mean, I would say over the past like 4 or 5 years that I've been playing at wineries is when I've really started like, I mean, I've always, for the past, I'd say like 10 years, really liked wine, but like really like have started to like hone in on like the different tastes and the different types
Right.
within the past, I'd say 5 years. And I love going to wineries even when I'm not playing at them, just to taste all the different flavors in the wine. So it's just something that like I guess I'm also like passionate about it. Just like it tastes good, and it like obviously, and there's so many different types, and I just think it's a kind of a fascinating industry in a sense, because it's like beer, where there's so many different beers. I mean, I don't like beer personally, and I really can't drink it because I'm gluten intolerant, unfortunately. But I just think it's a cool kind of concept, and the fact that I can play at these wineries and also drink wine while I'm
it kind of works with your genre, so to speak.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be one thing if you were playing like electronica, trance, house music, but it kind of fits with the singer songwriter thing. So yeah, that's a good match. Yeah. So when you're doing all these live dates, you do a bunch of shows, you go up and down the coast, or travel across the country. Once you're done, obviously you've been playing a lot and singing a lot. Do you come home more inspired, or do you come home and say, "Ugh, put the guitar in the closet. I don't want to look at it for a couple weeks"?
Well, I honestly, I haven't really done any like full out tours yet. That's something I'm looking into doing within the next year.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to do because I've had a few other musicians that I've been looking at that have been doing house concert tours, where they've been touring around the U.S. and actually going to like people's like bands and supporters' houses.
Yeah.
And so I'm considering doing that next summer. So I haven't done like a full out tour yet. I've had like a few dates where like when I lived on the East Coast, I'd play in like Connecticut one night, and then I'd play in Massachusetts one night. A lot of the times when I have weekends like that, where say I'm away for the weekend and then I come back, I definitely am feeling like more inspired and like, okay, like what's next,
Cool.
It's also like one of those things where I usually play at least once a week. So it's sometimes twice a week, honestly. So it's like one of those things where it's a constant thing. It's like, it's my job. So
right. So it's not a 6-month process and you're off for 4 months. You're going to work weekly, right?
Yeah.
I got you. As far as all that goes, especially with touring all the vineyards and stuff, when you're writing lyrics or playing, do you ever get inspired by visual stimuli? Like, did you ever see, watch a movie and be like, oh, I really like the atmosphere of this movie, or the plot, or just a beautiful sunset in a vineyard? Does that kind of thing ever inspire you? Or
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, actually, one of the songs I wrote on my first album, Skeleton of Life, was based off of a movie, and then my song Stars, that's off of my newest EP, is based on a movie too. So It's like funny because it's like both of those were completely inspired by movies that I like the plot. Kind of interesting because it's like, okay, this isn't real life, but I don't know. I'm inspired by it, so I wrote songs about them.
It's totally legitimate. Yeah, it's in my mind, inspiration's inspiration. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if. I mean, nobody's fact checking your songs.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's like it's like you worry in a certain sense because I'm like, well, I'm not like stealing the idea of the movie or anything, it's like it's just my inspiration and my take on what I experienced watching it, So,
right.
Yeah,
you're not stealing the idea of the movie. I mean, unless you write a song called Darth Vader is Your Father, you're not really stealing.
Yeah, exactly.
But so I know you said you got some more songs coming up. I mean, is that basically your plan for your follow-up? Your latest album was Stay Alive.
Yes.
Not to be confused with Staying Alive.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
But you should have just called it that. You'd sell like crazy, especially when it came out 40 years ago. But I mean, do you have any kind of concrete plans about even if you don't have the songs written yet? Like, okay, this time I'd like to add longer pieces, or this time I'd like to add some instrumentation we didn't do before. Or any ideas like that yet?
Well, I've thrown around ideas of doing something like really, really raw, and just me and my guitar and me recording myself for my next release. It's a little bit frightening to think of doing that, but I'm I might do just like a really like, unplugged acoustic album. So that's something that's an idea for my next release.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because I do like the other kinds of instrumentation. So I'm not really sure. Obviously, since I just released this past one in February, it probably won't be for, I would say, like sometime later next year if I were to release anything. But I'm definitely going to be, and that could change because I'm going to start writing a lot more. So
right. Do you record? Are you going to a proper studio, or are you recording at home, or how are you doing all that?
So I don't know. That's what I have to figure out, because I have been recording with my friend Dan for years now, but now that I'm on the West Coast, it's kind of hard for me to unless I flew him out here, and then it's so I don't know. It's one of those things where I kind of have to figure out what my next step is going to be in that direction.
You have so many more options, though. With Pro Tools and all that, if you get the right equipment, you can, I don't know, maybe some setting up in your house. I know a lot of, there's known like major artists out there who record tracks in a closet sometimes to finish a track and stuff, and you can email bed tracks to each other, and so there's a lot more that you can do. Back years ago, you had to.
Absolutely.
So that's exciting. Of course, I guess you still have to invest in some initial equipment, but.
Yeah, I already have like a few things, so we might be okay. I have like a really good microphone. I should probably get a better one, another better one. But like, I have some things, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. You could experiment with miking the guitar in 2 different places while you're playing.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's been great catching up with you. Now, where do your like your fans and stuff, or people who don't know you yet, what's your website and your social media they can go to find out more about your stuff?
So they can go to, if they go to my website has a lot of things on there. So it has videos, it has links to all of my socials, as well as like different videos and whatnot. They can also purchase my 2 releases on there. And I also have bundles, so they can get like an autographed photo or a guitar pick. So it's like, that's actually better to do. I prefer that. Not everybody. I think that's I like when people do that, because I can give them more than iTunes can.
Sure.
So yeah, if you just go to erinmcmusic.com, that's erinmcmusic.com. They can go there, and Twitter is like where a lot of that's probably where you found me, right? I think.
You have tens of thousands of followers on Twitter. Yeah.
So that's like the place where I'm hanging out most of the time, because I've also started going live on Periscope a lot more.
Okay.
So that's a place to be if you want to get the most updates on what's going on with me. My Instagram is also, I try and stay as active as I can on that as well. That handle is the same as my Twitter handle, so it's I am Erin McAndrew. And then for anyone that's tuning in, or I don't know if this is going to be written or whatnot, but they can go to freemusicfromerin.com if they want to just like check out my music and whatnot. They can get a free download. They'll get some free pictures and like some fun stuff in that if they just go to freemusicfromerin.com, put in their email address, and then I'll send it to them.
Great. Well, that sounds good. Well, cool. Well, I'll also put the links up on my site, and that way if they're reading, they can just go to your site directly from that page too. Make it easier for them to find. Well, great. Well, it's been really interesting talking to you and finding out all the ins and outs of how you